Hey there, Hilltop Vision scholars. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unlocking a literal superpower that is going to completely transform your time in school and beyond. We're talking about confidence, communication, and why learning to ask better questions is the ultimate key to growing your mind. Let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. You're sitting in maths class. The teacher is up at the board explaining a brand new topic, and suddenly, boom, you hit a wall. You don't understand a single thing. You look around the room, and everyone else is quietly nodding, looking like absolute geniuses, or they're pretending to be super busy scribbling in their notebooks. So you think to yourself, man, maybe I'm the only one who doesn't get this. And what do? You just stare at your desk and stay completely quiet. Sound familiar? But let's pause for a second. What would have happened if you just raised your hand and asked one clear question right then and there? Because we all know how this story usually ends, right? Later that evening, you're staring at your homework and you realize you're still completely stuck. Staying silent in class literally only leads to more confusion later when you're all alone with your books. And honestly, so many students struggle silently just like this, simply because they're afraid to speak up. Section 1, the cost of silence. Let's talk about why we actually avoid asking for help. Listen, it is completely normal to feel nervous. Have you ever thought, people are going to laugh at me, or the teacher will think I'm not smart, or maybe everyone else gets it, I should already know this by now? Actually, scratch that. Maybe you just don't even know how to explain what you don't understand. These are super common fears. But here is the hard truth. Letting fear keep you silent actually makes your confusion so much worse. Moving to Section 2, questions are strength. It's time to completely flip the script on how we see raising our hands. If you take away just one thing from today, let it be this. Good thinkers ask better questions, and good questions help people grow. Seriously, asking a question doesn't mean you're weak, and it definitely doesn't mean you aren't smart. It actually proves you're engaged, you're paying attention, and you're thinking deeply about the lesson. When you actually speak up, incredible things start happening. You understand the material better, you correct your mistakes way earlier, like before exams even arrive, and you build real confidence. And here's a fun fact. Teachers actually rely on your questions. It shows them exactly where you need help so they can guide you. Speaking up is you taking responsibility for your own learning, and that is exactly what a true scholar does. Let's dive into Section 3, weak versus strong questions, because yes, being specific is absolutely crucial. So let's compare two ways to ask for help. Saying, I don't understand is honest, sure, but it's kind of weak because it's just not specific. A stronger question sounds more like this. Can you explain the first step again? See the difference? That tells your teacher exactly where you got lost, which gets you a much better and much faster answer. Let's look at another one, maybe for a science class or a complex maths problem. Saying, I don't understand science is just way too broad. But watch how we can transform that. You could say, I understand the definition, but I don't understand how this applies to the experiment. A specific question like that gives your study group or your teacher the exact roadmap they need to help you. Next up is Section 4, the 3 levels of questions. Let's see how we can really deepen our understanding. So level 1 questions are what we call remembering questions. These are all about gathering basic facts. Things like, what does this word mean? Or what is the formula? Or when is the assignment due? They're simple, direct, and perfect for grabbing that missing piece of basic information. Then we step up to level 2, understanding questions. These ask for the why and the how. For example, why does this method work? Or how are these two ideas different? Asking these helps you move way beyond just memorizing facts, so you can actually figure out how all the ideas connect together. And finally, level 3, thinking questions. This is where the real magic happens, guys. These questions ask you to analyze, judge, or apply what you know. Questions like, what evidence supports this answer? Or how can I apply this idea in real life? I highly encourage you to practice these level 3 questions. They literally force you to master this subject. Okay, Section 5, how to disagree respectfully, because we can totally debate with kindness. Look, you are going to disagree with people, whether you're working at a study group, talking with family, or having discussions at church or the mosque. But asking questions never means being rude. Instead of saying, that makes no sense, which immediately puts people on the defensive, try saying, I'm struggling to understand this part. Can we go through it again? Respectful communication is the secret to ensuring people actually listen to your perspective. There is a really simple three-part method to disagree respectfully. Step 1, listen first. Step 2, explain your view clearly. And step 3, give a reason. So if a friend says group study is the best, instead of just blurting out group study is useless, you can say, I understand why you think group study is better. But for me, I first need quiet time alone to understand the topic before discussing it. Boom, you stated your view perfectly without insulting anyone. Which brings us to section 6, the confidence cycle. This is all about building bravery. So what is confidence really? Confidence is the willingness to try, speak, ask, and learn even when you feel totally unsure. Think about that for a second. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's not about magically waiting until you feel perfectly brave. No, confidence is taking action despite feeling afraid. True confidence doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's built step by step. You build it by simply asking one single question today or trying one answer. You build it by speaking up in a small group, taking good notes, or even making a mistake and learning from it with a mentor. All these small, brave actions really add up. This right here is the confidence cycle. First, you try something small. Second, you learn from it. Third, you try again. Fourth, you improve. And fifth, you finally begin to feel more confident. Listen, if you wait until you feel completely fearless before you raise your hand, you are going to be waiting way too long. Confidence comes after you practice, not before. All right, that wraps up our explainer, but I have a challenge for you before we go. What subject will you ask a better question in this week? Pick one class, math, science, or maybe English, and just raise your hand. Ask a strong, specific question. Because ask yourself this: what if the one question you're too afraid to ask today is the exact key to unlocking your success tomorrow? Thanks for hanging out with me, scholars, and keep learning.